Welcome back to another 12 Months to Mastery module. Today, we're going to be going over another point of qualification, and it's the very important and misunderstood idea of how to give a woman a compliment. So today's whole video is going to be all about giving women compliments. So, what are good compliments? We all know what a compliment is. It's giving a woman a positive reinforcement on something. It's flattery, it's buttering people up, it's going out of your way to appreciate, however you want to define it. We all know what a compliment is. But unfortunately for most guys, they don't know how to give a good compliment. So in this video, which is kind of short video, we're going to be going over the differences between good and bad compliments. Then I'm going to teach you how to calibrate your compliments to make sure they go over the right way. It's actually a pretty simple process. It's much easier than a lot of people make it. It's just guys have a lot of bad programming about compliments from the dating community and from other people who teach that we need to kind of uproot. Like I've been saying in these videos over and over, women need air, water, and compliments. All right, so we're going to start off by talking about what not to do with complimenting. Before we even do that, I just want to take a minute here to address the idea of complimenting and supplication. When I first got into the community, there was a huge debate. This was even before I started approaching. We're talking like 1998, fastseduction.com. There was a big debate about how you shouldn't approach women and compliment them or let them know you're interested right away. And in general, I tend to agree with that. If you are going to approach a woman with a compliment, you want to make sure that the two of you are about comparative looks. So if you're like a really good looking guy, you can approach a really good looking girl with a compliment. If you're a bad looking guy approaching a really good looking girl, it's not the best idea. Generally, you don't want to start conversations with compliments, and we'll talk about the timing for compliments when we go over the don'ts. So compliments are good. Women need air, water, and compliments, but at the same time, you need to know how to give them the right way, and you need to avoid making these 5 mistakes that guys generally make when they're trying to compliment women. The first mistake, this is the one you see the most with most guys who are not in the pickup community. They just use lame, generic compliments. They say a woman's beautiful, hot, has nice eyes, whatever. And it's just basically letting them know you want to fuck them, which is not particularly flattering. So we want to stay away from lame, generic compliments. Anything that you see in movies, anything that seems like obvious to compliment the girl on, stay away from it. You want to make your compliments really unique so that the girl appreciates them more. Really important. Number 2, we just talked about this for a second, but I want to make sure that I explain the timing of complimenting. Complimenting a woman before she's attracted to you is bad. You don't want to start complimenting her until she's given you some signs of attraction. So that's why we put complimenting in the qualification process, because at this point, you've already approached her, you've built social comfort, you've broken rapport in order to tease and move forward into the attraction phase. You've built a little attraction, you've moved her into isolation, and now you can start complimenting her because she's already given you signals. She's kept talking to you, she asked you questions, she qualified herself a little. Now you can start to compliment the girl. You don't want to start complimenting her right away. Not to say that you can't ever get away with it. The rule with complimenting, like I said earlier, is complimenting works if your value is similar. So for most guys that are listening to this stuff, sorry to burst your bubble, you guys are interested in women who have higher value than you. You're interested in women that are better looking than you, have better social skills, have better social proof, and basically are going to be downgrading in order to date you. Nothing personal, just where most of the guys are when they start taking these programs. So for you guys, as opposed to myself, Whereas now I can compliment women up to 8.5s and get away with it pretty early on. If you don't have those advantages, you want to be aware that you've raised your value. You've built some attraction. You've done some things that show she likes you, and then you can start complimenting, because now you guys are on even footing. The whole thing with compliments is that compliments are the tactic of people who are higher value or equal value with a girl. They're not compliments for people who are lower value, and most of the time when you're starting off, you're coming in at a lower value. If the girl's really into you, start complimenting. But if she's not giving you signs that she likes you, hold back on those until she is. Number 3, using physical compliments. This should go without saying, but nice ass is not a compliment. Complimenting her being in shape, stuff like that, no good. Stay away from the physical. If you're going to physically compliment a girl, disqualify it first by saying you're sure she hears this all the time. Every now and then I'll run into a girl with killer eyes, and at some point on a date or while we're talking, I'll just want to tell her eyes are amazing, because they are. So I'll say, I'm sure you hear this all the time, or not to give you a generic compliment, but... and then you can give it. But again, anything sexual or physical should be kept out until you're in the bedroom. When a girl's like naked with you, you can start telling her how hot she is. Until then, stay away from the physical compliments. Number 4, being insincere. This is a really big one, especially for guys who are beginning. If you're not sure what to compliment, you might just use some stock compliments. Stay away from that, because nothing turns a woman off like an insincere compliment. If she feels like you're just complimenting her to butter her up or to try to get her into bed, it's going to take away all the power and just make you look like an ass kisser. On the flip side of that, you have number 5, which is expecting something in return for the compliment. Compliments, none of these tactics that you see are going to get an immediate result. All of these things happen over a period of time as a woman's assessing your behavior. So it's not like you're going to compliment her and all of a sudden she's going to start sucking your dick. You can't expect to see anything good in the compliment. You want to learn to read the reaction and react accordingly, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes when I talk about calibration. But don't expect her to be like super happy that you complimented her or like say that's amazing. Every now and then that happens, but most of the time you just want acceptance. That's the only thing we're really worried about when it comes to complimenting women. All right, now on the flip side of this, I now want to talk about some do's. And we'll go through some do's, and then I had one more don't. So there's 4 do's and a don't, but 5 do's sounds better. Number 1, compliment her personality. Here's the thing about compliments, and this comes straight out of the 48 Laws of Power. People want to be appreciated for things they naturally possess that are not obvious. They don't want to be complimented for things they made a choice to, because that's a conscious thing. We want to all believe that we naturally are perfect and interesting and awesome. But we don't want to be complimented on the things that are obviously naturally perfect and awesome about us. So instead, we want to appreciate the girl for things they naturally possess that are not obvious. Sense of humor, independence, style of dressing, skin tone, things that are not as obvious that are going to show her that you're attracted to her for her. Those are the best compliments, are the ones that make her believe you're attracted to her for something unique about herself. They make the girl feel pretty. Number 2, compliment her choices. Women also want to be appreciated for the choices they make, because those are choices. It's not to the same degree that they want to be appreciated for the natural stuff, but it's more than they want to be appreciated for the obvious. Women don't want to be complimented on the obvious. If a girl has a full sleeve of tattoos, I won't compliment her on her tattoos, because I'm sure she gets that all the time. If a woman has one tattoo like on her ankle and she's wearing open-toed shoes and I can see it, I might compliment her on that, because it's not something that probably happens constantly. So, hair, clothes, tattoos, vibe, dressing style, energy, personality, the way she interacts with you, all of those things are sassiness. All those things are things that you can compliment her on. You can compliment women on anything. I sometimes compliment women on being bitchy to me, and tell them they're good at being bitchy. Because it's about understanding what the person wants to be perceived as. That's the real power in complimenting. Number 3, compliment her in private, not in front of her friends. Girls can get self-conscious when complimented in private. It makes them embarrassed. It's not a good idea. Compliments should be saved for one-on-one conversations. I like to whisper compliments in girls' ears. That's my favorite way of doing it. Number 4, get specific. The more specific your compliments are, the more effective they will be. It's one thing to say that you like the color of her eyes. It's another thing to say that the color of her eyes reminds you of the ocean in Miami and is like really relaxing. With compliments, you want to explain not only what you like, but why you like it. And this is going to get glossed over, I'm sure. This is a huge point, and will come up again in comfort. You have to be able to explain why you like the things you like. This is key to being an interesting person. You can like almost anything. I know people who talk about comic books and all this stuff. I used to do that too. Now I'm not as much of a nerd, so I don't. But you really can talk about anything as long as you can explain it in a way that's relevant to her. So the more specific your compliments, the more effective they will be. And number 5, don't be a kiss ass. There's a very thin line between sweet talking a woman's pants off and being a kiss ass. And kiss ass don't get laid. All right, now I want to talk about calibration. Calibration is an overall skill, but the first place we're going to see it, besides teasing, which you'll just kind of naturally get an idea for as you practice with, is when it comes to compliment. This is really, I think, where calibration becomes interesting, because calibration here means being able to adjust your compliment to the girl's reaction. So, for example, let's say that I'm talking to a girl and I go, you know what, your personality is awesome. Like, I have no idea where you came from, but I need to go to there because you're just amazing. Like, you're fun, you're smart, you're sarcastic, like, you're awesome. And she's not into it. She's like, thanks. Or, she just kind of doesn't really take it. If she's not into it and enthusiastic, meaning she at least says thanks and accepts it or smiles, and you can kind of tell. By now you should be able to read facial expressions, polite response, stuff like that. You're looking for like micro flinches. You're looking for her to kind of flash a frown or to disqualify herself or, say I have a boyfriend or whatever. And if she does that, then you now want to tack on a tease to take the compliment away. So she might go, oh, yeah, like I'm nothing special. I'm just me, And I might go, mental note, stay away from this girl. Doesn't know how to take a compliment. That's the best thing I find. If you give a compliment and the girl doesn't take it well or like tries to disqualify you, I'll just tease them for not being able to take a compliment. And I'll go, okay, mental note, don't compliment this girl ever again. Can't handle it. And, she'll laugh and then you've kind of pulled it back in. Now, if she is into the compliment, we want to use this to move the interaction forward. So if she is into the compliment, I want to now use what's called a statement of intent to move things forward. So if I, same compliment as above, there's a specific girl I'm thinking about right now as we record this that I probably won't remember by the time you guys hear this 5 or 6 years into the future, but there's a very special sarcastic girl right now, and when I compliment her, you then want to lock down some gains. This is kind of how I think about it. You want to lock down your gain with a statement of intent. So I might compliment her and go, you were just awesome. And she's like, yeah, where'd your personality come from? And she goes, you just have to be a choir geek growing up in Seattle. And I might go, oh my God, so I need to move to Seattle and marry a choir geek. Mental note taken. P.S. I'm totally going to start hitting on you now. P.S. I'm totally hitting on you. If it's a text message or if in person, I might be like, no, I'm totally going to start hitting on you. And she'll laugh, and now I've locked in those gains. I've gotten her to commit passively. She doesn't need to be like, yes, it's okay, you now have permission to hit on me. Just her staying in the conversation gives me that permission to escalate the interaction and start making moves on her, hitting on her, all of that stuff. So this skill, being able to know when to escalate or de-escalate. And if you notice, we're using mechanisms that we've seen before and that we'll see again. If she's not into the compliment, we're breaking rapport. We're moving backwards with a tease, right? We're trying to go back a little bit. Not all the way back into attraction, but we're just trying to distance ourselves from that comment so that we're not needy and, looking like we're disappointed because she's not into it. On the flip side, if she's into it, then we want to lock in those gains. We want to get her committed to us hitting on her, wanting to kiss her, wanting her phone number, whatever. The statement of intent doesn't really matter as much as that you lock in the gain and that you progress. You don't want to start by being like on the first compliment being that she accepts, being like, cool, because I'm totally trying to get in your pants. That won't work. So go slow, get the minimal level of commitment you can each time, and then increase it in the conversation. That's how you lock in those passive gains and get passive frame control. Cool. All right. Recap. In this video, we broke down complimenting like a fucking forensic scientist. We talked about the 5 things to avoid when complimenting and the 5 things to make sure you do. We also talked about calibration, which is the real make or break skill for qualification and comfort. We're going to be coming back to this idea of calibration over and over and over again from here on out in everything we do, because every girl is different, every social interaction is different. Next time, don't qualify yourself, fool! I just always get Mr. T in my head when I hear people qualifying themselves. And in next week's video, we're going to break down how to avoid qualifying yourself, which to me is the funniest subject in pickup, because there are instructors who will literally start their talks with this advice: don't qualify yourself, and then the next 5 minutes after that, they'll talk about how they have 17 girlfriends and just got laid 10 minutes ago. And it's like, bro, do you not listen to what you say when you talk? Or is it just me? I don't know. But yeah, most PUAs qualify themselves. Crazy. So we'll talk about how to not do that, because it makes you a loser. Word. See you then.